coming out of the closet?
You're coming out of the closet.
Welcome to this episode of What's the 10? I'm Angie, and in this episode, we are breaking down the best LGBT content straight out of India. Now, India has come a long way from its cartoonish portrayals of queer characters, so if you're looking for something like this or this on this top 10, I'm sorry for your taste buds. Hopefully, I could put you on to some better LGBT content. So with that said, let's get into this.
बाबा दा टॉनिक हैगा ना उदे नाले लिस्बन वाली चीज ठीक हो जाती
लेस्बियन या जापानीज नहीं लेस्बियन और ये कोई बीमारी नहीं है.
Former Shots is a series that premiered on Amazon Prime in 2019 and follows four very flawed women as they try and navigate through life, sex, and love. But it's the character of Umang that makes this series hit number 10 on this list. Played by Bonnie J, Umang is a young bisexual gym trainer who moved to South Mumbai from her smaller town for a chance to live her most honest and authentic life, and honestly channel her inner Poppy. During this journey with Umang, we see her battle through love, heartbreak, and eventually end up with superstar actress Samata, played by Lisa Ray. This role has helped with bisexual representation in India and has garnered Bonnie J an International Emmy nomination. So if you're looking for something fun and not too serious, Former Shots Please is the way to go.
क्या बात है निखिल?
Love you a lot, princess.
Love you too, bhai.
While 2004's Fear Malinge tried to broach the subject of AIDS with its version of Philadelphia, it was 2005's My Brother Nikhil that garnered critical acclaim. Featuring incredible performances by Juhi Chawla and Sanjay Suri, My Brother Nikhil focuses on the story of a gay man who has found out that he's contracted HIV and follows his journey in fighting for his civil rights while the world around him begins to ostracize him. Based on the life of Goan HIV activist Dominic D'Souza, this movie not only succeeds in being a great tearjerker, but also did a wonderful job humanizing a gay man in a time where Bollywood only sought to characterize him. This is one of the first Indian films I've ever watched, and one of the main reasons why I love Indian films today. Coming in as the only Malayalam entry on this list, set in Kerala, we follow two childhood friends, Kiran and Delilah, who end up realizing that their feelings for each other run deeper than they thought. This film is such a sweet story about first love, heartbreak, and societal pressures. And doubled as one of the first anti-suicide films of its kind, this movie is not to be missed.
What are you doing here?
You asked me to call. You haven't answered any of my calls. You haven't answered any of my messages.
Yeah, I've been a little busy planning your wedding.
Listen, I know I should really sit here and talk about the amazing performances from this ensemble cast, or the just as amazing cameo performances, or maybe I could even talk about the well-written story arc between these two characters, or even dive into how great they've tackled a story around anti-LGBT laws. But yeah, this made it to the number 7 spot because bruh was really out here smashing them cheeks, and the directors had the audacity to not only explicitly show it, but to also make sure that these scenes were choreographed well. Now I know to us Westerners that might sound frivolous, but when you've seen Indian cinema go from this to this, and now this, in just a little under a decade, it's very exciting to watch. And it's also worth pointing out that this role garnered Arjun Mathur an International Emmy nomination, so just another reason to watch this great show. Manoj Bajpayee is regarded as one of India's best actors, and his performance in Aligarh is no exception. His portrayal of the quiet gay teacher who is facing discrimination after being outed is easily one of his best to date. Yet another film based on a true story, Aligarh does a fantastic job of moving away from the age-old gay stereotypes and moving to humanize and empathize with this person. Like my brother Nikhil, please get your tissues ready. In 2019, Thiagaraj and Kumararaja delivered a stellar film that left audience shouting Oscar-worthy praise for the ensemble cast. But it was Vijay Sethupathi that stole the show as the character of Shilpa, a trans woman returning home to her family for the first time in years. Through this performance, you see Shilpa trying to find her space, not only with the adults in the family, but with her son as well. This film made me laugh. It even made me cry. It definitely left me disgusted by this asshole. But all those emotions were worth it to see a unique portrayal of a trans woman on Indian screens. Directed by Shonali Bose and featuring performances by Kalki Kekla, Sayani Gupta, and Revati, Margarita with a Straw is the story of a teenager with cerebral palsy who leaves India and begins to discover her independence while at college in New York. This is easily one of the most unexpected and daring Indian films that I've seen in the last 7 years. The soft and gentle, yet honest way Shonali Bose handles the material will linger with you days after your initial watch. This is another film with great representation all around and arguably hosts the best bisexual character from India I have seen. And this should definitely be on the top of your must-see Indian films list.
I couldn't go without seeing you. Don't ever cry, okay? You don't know what you mean to me.
The Other Love Story hit the internet in 2016 as India's first same-sex web series consisting of 12 episodes. Set in the pre-cell phone era of the late 1990s, two neighbors, Adya and Anchal, become friends and ultimately find themselves wanting more in the relationship. Although the runtime is short, coming in at just under an hour for the first season, it's just enough to do its job and leaves you wanting more. This series is filled with crazily cute moments, and if you're looking for something that reminds you of a secret first love, this is the content I would recommend.
হাসলে হবে খরচা আছে মেয়ে হবি আর হেয়ামালিনী হয়ে যাবি অত সহজে হবে না
Making it as the only Bengali language film on this list, Nagar Kirtan is an intimate tale of a young trans girl and a flute player who attempt to navigate through their society while trying to cultivate and protect an ever-growing love between them. Out of all the films on this list, I must say this was by far the most gut-wrenching. The consistent theme of wanting to be the authentic version of yourself and being accepted simply left me in tears. But what makes up for sheer heartbreak is the phenomenal performances by Rithi Sen and Ritik Chakraborty. At the risk of sounding redundant, this is surely a film you don't want to miss. Before I get to this number one film, let's give a shout out to content that didn't quite make the list.
This isn't familiar for me. This awareness of needs, of desires.
Introduced as the first installment in Deepa Mehta's Elements trilogy, and featuring performances by Shabana Azmi and Nandita Das, Fire has definitely earned its spot as #1 and the OG on this list. Not only was this the very first Indian film that I saw, but I soon realized it was the first film of its kind that sent ripples across India.
We have really never dealt with the subject of homosexuality. I mean, very subtly, maybe you see little shades and not mentioned and, just camouflaged in a lot of other things, but never sort of head on.
And y'all, the conservative girls were upset. There was this group named the Shiv Sena acting up at all the theaters that were playing the film. They truly felt that the film was un-Indian and against their morals. And it doesn't stop there. This movie also got tons of backlash from some folks in the queer community. Some thought that the story was not authentic enough because it centered around two wives who got together only because their marriages to men were failing or weren't fruitful. But in the words of legend Shabana Azmi,
what the women are doing basically is negotiating more space for themselves. What they're doing is trying to break out of a tradition that places them only as wife and mother, as the bearer of male children. And the fact that they're moving out of that and also claiming desire. My God, if women start claiming desire, can you imagine how dreadful it would be for our culture?
Radha?
Just ignore him.
Radha?
Please don't go.
and that was my top 10 list of favorite LGBT content straight out of India. What was your favorite on the list? Does your list look anything like mine? Did I miss something? Leave it in the comment section below. Also, if you like this video and are interested in seeing more content from this channel, hit that bell icon to subscribe. Until next time.